difference. It's definitely a difference.
Steph, you've been through this for a decade now. What are you trying to get out of your first preseason?
It's like a good first check of your conditioning. We don't have a lot of our sets installed, but we have enough to, work on execution, timing, and all that, and then get some film to kind of assess where we are. Obviously, defensively, you want to be able to show the basics of what we can do and all be on the same page. We know that lineups are going to be all over the place and probably won't mirror what the regular season is for the most part, but you just want to be able to show a little bit of execution to the point where you can get good film and we can understand what we need to work on the rest of this week. And then the last 2 preseason games is more like the dress rehearsal type, trying to lock in on another level of play that will get us ready for the regular season.
Coach Kerr said Jordan's going to start next to you. In a small sample size, you guys put up crazy numbers last year. Are you excited about what you guys might be able to develop into together?
For sure. I think offensively we know what we're capable of. Defensively we got to show, we can hold our own, especially with Wiggs and Draymond and Loon, anchoring us. And, just for him to be able to take the next step in terms of his confidence and, understanding of how he's going to, help our team, but just take the next step in his career as a consistent, go-to playmaker, scorer. A lot of similar challenges I went through it, going into third year trying to figure out what that means on a night-to-night basis. So excited for him. Great opportunity. He's worked his off all summer to be prepared, and now it's about just going and hooping.
There's been some kind of buzz behind the scenes about how he's looked. Have you seen that? Has he looked primed for a breakout year?
Yeah, I mean, the same kind of vibe when he came back from Orlando last year, and he just hit the ground running. You can tell he's been focused on and intentional about what he's working on. After that, it's just, again, putting him in positions where his skill set can take over, because he obviously can shoot, he can put the ball on the floor, he can get from A to B pretty quickly. And knowing where his space and where his shots are going to come from, that's just the evolution of his game.
Steph, what did you think of yesterday's news that Wiggins is vaccinated? Is it kind of nice having that storyline over?
Yeah, obviously I think it's great that he's going to be available, and whatever process he went through to get to that decision, he'll be able to speak on that. So we're excited to have him. I think that was the whole conversation to begin with, and it's a good sign of just handling his responsibility as part of the team. And again, whatever the process was, is for him to kind of explain.
Does that speak to who he is as a teammate? I mean, everybody was talking about raving about him as a teammate.
I like the narrative, but I would think badly of him had it not turned out that way. I hate that part of how this whole conversation is happening. It doesn't have to be either or. The fact that we could all have a conversation about it and be respectful and show that level of care around, just how everybody was approaching this vaccination decision, and being a part of the collective for sure is something he, I guess, showed it was a priority. But there's no way I'm gonna let that affect how I see him as a human being in terms of before this pandemic started versus now, how he responded. But I'm glad that he's available and he's able to be with us day in, day out.
Getting back to battles over the years with Avery Bradley guarding you a bunch. How's he look?
I've always called him a bulldog. Everybody asks who's some of the toughest defenders that you've had, and he's the first guy that comes to mind. Just because he's relentless, he's physical, he's quick, he's got good awareness of not just on-ball defense, but team defense as well. And he's shown that not only the skill set, but the commitment to it. Because you could have guys who, been in the league as long as he has that might try to do something different or switch up or try to take a little shortcut in terms of, it's really hard to defend like that physically, and he's shown in training camp that that's still important to him, and he knows that's where he provides a lot of value. So it's been awesome to watch. Honestly, it helps you get better in training camp when you have a guy like that pressing you, every possession. I know JP's felt that same way. So he came to camp prepared and ready, and he's shown what he's capable of.
You feel like he's potentially a good option for you guys at the 15th spot. I know it's technically still up in the air.
I think that's why he's here for sure.
What are your impressions of Jonathan and so far?
He's super athletic. He's super I think his ability to impact plays when you don't really expect it. It's shown early. He's got a couple defensive stops and turned that into easy transition offense. He's knocked down some open threes. He's still learning the defensive positioning and principles and how we do things and terminology and all that. So, we're a week in, and I think it's trending in the right direction. Just a lot of work that needs to go into what that means during the game and during the regular season game and all that type of stuff. So everything he showed at Summer League, he's doubling down on that. But the biggest thing is just his attitude. Like he truly cares about being great. It's going to test his patience a little bit, knowing what it takes to get to that level. But I like the attitude that he has, and that's what matters to him.
Steve mentioned some of his passes that have really wowed. Has he kicked out any balls to you?
We talked about that watching him in Summer League, where he'd be a pick and roll situation. He'd be in the pocket and, one dribble, seeing the floor, whether he's going to try to finish at the rim, drop down passes to the corners. He's got a really good feel for a young guy to see those options. So obviously the way that we play and attention I'll get, and if he's setting screen for me, the ability to do that will help. Because he is so athletic to the rim, you have to respect that as well. Guys are going to get a lot of shots, hopefully, off of him.
Get back to the
Do you believe the rule changes the NBA is trying to implement with offensive players? Do you think that's actually going to have an impact?
Honestly, I don't know, because I still don't know the nuances of the changes. I saw one example. There's going to be some confusion, let's say that, to start, for sure. Like any rule change, it takes some time to get adjusted to. But I think it was a play in Milwaukee last year where there's like two guys guarding at the same time, and I changed directions, and I think DiVincenzo came behind me. They used that as one of the examples, and they said that wouldn't have been a foul. And I'm sitting and looking at the video I'm still confused on how that's not a foul, but they'll have to walk us through what they're looking for, and any emphasis that they put from one year to the next that changes. It just takes some time to get adjusted to. So I'm sure there's going to be some antics early when things don't go players' way based on how how it used to be called, but we'll see.
Do you feel like it will impact the way you play at all?
I don't know. I try not to. Foul calls for me, I'll complain at times. I try not to. I'm worried about just getting a shot off more so than drawing a foul, but I do have some fun around the three-point line. When I get contact, I'll make sure it's known that I got hit, but we'll see how it goes. I have no idea. Seems like that traveling thing back in a couple of years ago, where refs are trained to look at a certain thing, but there's a lot of other things going on.
Step back.
Yeah, and it's they have to get adjusted too. So I don't know how it's going to go.
You and Dame have any half-court pull-up plans for tonight?
We didn't have it back and forth this summer, so we'll see. Wouldn't be surprised if he tries something crazy like that.
Steph, has Kenny helped your understanding analytically with Steph? Steve mentioned, he pointed out how effective you and Jordan were in back and forth last year.
Not yet. I think a lot of that's for the coaching staff to worry about. and as we get through the season, I'm sure we'll tap his brain like one-on-one in terms of what we can look at on the floor. But it's hard for guys like us to really get bogged down on like where shots need to be, or getting too calculated about that yet, because we still got things to work about in our system and how we're all working together. We can fine tune that as we go, and I'm sure Kenny's going to have a huge impact in that.
When do you usually start to take a look at details like that?
A lot of it's just personally, like from year to year, where my weak spots were, and I work on that all summer. But you kind of have to have a little sample size of what this team looks like and what the dynamics are of this group and how that affects you individually to really make any true reads on that. So I don't know maybe 5-10 games in, you start to really look at it.
Having a guy who's so good with numbers like that, does that bring another dynamic to how you're going to approach making changes in the middle?
Oh, I'll tap into it, just not yet. Yeah.
How much do you enjoy having Andre back?
It's been great.
Playing court?
Everything about it's great. And not just because he's here, because he's playing well. He looks good. He looks healthy. He looks fresh. He's having fun. He knows how we do things, so it's all good vibes.
Last one for me on that one topic. Do you like that the league is trying to do something about those type of offensive players?
For sure, I love the effort. When you sit in a boardroom and look at film all summer, it's really hard to know exactly how that's going to translate to true changes on the court. So that's the part we have to go through. But definitely, like, the purity of the game, and the goal is to put the ball in the basket and not be out there just living and dying by getting to the free throw line any way that you can. Like, I love the effort.
Is there any last one? Sorry. Any message for the rookies on their first road trip? It seemed to know last night on the flight.
Nah, it's just another day. It's training camp. Enjoy yourself. It's gonna be nerves for everybody because you love playing basketball and we'll have fans, so it'd be dope. But biggest thing is just figure out what your routine is. I told JP that today. It was like, these first two preseason games, you have to figure out what your routine is and how you get ready for a game. From the time you get on the plane to the time the game starts, there's a certain pecking order of things that you do to get ready mentally and physically. So identify what that is, fine tune it. Same thing when we have a home game, and then you'll be ready to go for the regular season. In that respect, then on the court, that's a whole nother animal.
Thanks, Steph. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.